This is the first video in an upcoming series on RV solar power systems. Today we're covering our recent changeover from Tesla modules to Battle-Born batteries, and more importantly, why. I haven't been paid to say any of this. I purchased both the Tesla and Battle-Born batteries, and these are just my honest thoughts after using both systems extensively. We have just over 2,500 watts of solar on the roof and an additional 1,000 watts available as a ground deploy system in our 43-foot Jayco Pinnacle fifth wheel. We use a 24-volt system and all Victron gear and initially started with a single multi-plus inverter. We power our entire RV on solar power alone and never really consider power consumption. We're often asked if it's possible to power our 3 TVs, Wi-Fi, residential fridge, and even air conditioning on solar, and the answer is absolutely. Our only generator usage has been when we've needed to run 2 air conditioners simultaneously on a very hot day. That's actually been a limit of our single inverter and has since been corrected. This will be covered in an upcoming video on our upgrade to dual inverters. We're not full-time in our RV, but we do use it regularly. If you have any questions or want to be more specific, drop a comment below and I'll be sure to respond to everyone. Give us a like and consider subscribing if you find this video helpful. It really does help the channel. When I initially designed and installed the system a year and a half ago, I had just purchased the RV and started compiling a list of components for the build. We're in a bit of a unique situation here in Reno with both Battle-Born batteries and the Tesla Gigafactory within a 15-minute drive of my house. My initial plan was to go with Battle-Born batteries, but at the time they were back ordered a couple of weeks. I was being a bit impatient and I stumbled across a pair of low-mileage Model S modules and decided to give it a shot. Tesla modules are extremely energy dense, relatively inexpensive considering lithium prices, and have a very small footprint. But comparatively speaking, Tesla modules always felt like a bit of a science project. You're more or less hacking a battery from an electric car to work in your RV. It was never intended to work outside of that electric car without its pre-programmed battery management system. In the RV world, they're considered a 24-volt battery, but they don't actually operate at the same voltages as a traditional 24-volt battery system. Once removed from the car, each module operates at roughly 19 to 25 volts. When I designed my system, there weren't many options available for a BMS, so I went the DIY route. And while it never failed me, I was never all that confident in it. We used 2 Tesla modules in parallel, which gave us roughly a 10.5 kilowatt hour 24-volt battery. This ended up costing us about $3,000 and a fair bit of time when you factored in research, building a DIY BMS, and all the protection gear. You can now find many commercially available battery management systems for the Tesla modules, but that just adds to the cost. In reality, to keep things safe, we had just over 8 kilowatt hours of usable battery capacity. I could have charged the batteries slightly higher to give us more capacity, but I would have been flirting with the upper limits of what's safe in these batteries, and that just wasn't something I was willing to do, given the fire risk. With Tesla modules, you're looking at about $375 to $425 per kilowatt hour when you factor in the rest of the protective gear and battery management system. This also doesn't account for quite a bit of labor you have to do to keep them safe. The chemical makeup of a Model S battery module is such that if you were to overcharge it beyond 100% or physically damage the battery, you're looking at a real fire hazard. A fire you quite literally cannot put out. Your RV would easily burn to the ground and likely anything around it. Now, I don't want this to sound all doom and gloom. They're a great battery, but you do need to understand the risks involved. Tesla batteries are not for the average RVer. If you don't have a pretty extensive background in electrical systems, I wouldn't even consider them. They were installed in the mechanical area just below our bed, and I constantly thought about how a malfunction might go. What if we were out to dinner and our dogs were locked in the trailer? Or what if it started a massive forest fire? This bothered me enough that over time I decided to replace them. The risk just wasn't worth any potential cost savings to me. You have 0 warranty and typically you're stuck taking the seller at their word. Their used batteries removed from an electric car that had something happen to it. Whether that's a wreck or a flood, it wasn't something good. There's no warranty and no one to call if anything goes wrong. Now, in contrast, Battle-Born batteries cost just under $800 per kilowatt hour, but they're a drop-in solution that almost anyone can safely wire up and forget about for many years. No DIY BMS or extra labor to make them work, and they come with a 10-year warranty, an excellent support staff, and a wealth of knowledge available online. They work perfectly in any 12 to 48 volt RV system, and every battery has a built-in battery management system, making things easy for the average user. You simply remove your existing batteries and replace them with Battle-Born batteries. It's no harder than just wiring them in like any other battery you'd normally use. The chemical makeup of the Battle-Born batteries is much safer than that of the Tesla batteries, essentially eliminating the fire hazard. I decided to go with 12 of the Battle-Born batteries, and I couldn't be happier. We now have a large battery bank that's safe and I don't have to worry about fire, along with local support that I can trust to help at any time. It's quite a bit different than dealing with Tesla batteries. There's not exactly a hotline to call with Tesla batteries saying, hey, I ripped a battery out of one of your wrecked cars and I'm trying to make it work in my RV, can you help me? Doesn't happen. When we converted over from the Tesla to the Battle-Born batteries, we actually added about 75% more capacity to our storage. We did this essentially so we could run air conditioning longer on days with less sun. We could have accomplished this by adding a third Tesla module, but by and large the reason for changing was safety. When you factor everything in, including the initial purchase price, time spent researching and building your own battery management system for the Tesla batteries, and even more, there really isn't much savings to speak of. At the end of the day, you get a safer battery that's easier to install and actually has a warranty and someone there to help you. We did look at many other lithium battery options out there, but every other brand had something holding us back. Whether it was reviews, customer service, parts, whatever it may have been, there was always something. Battle-Born was the clear leader in the industry, and we were happy to spend our money locally with somebody we knew we could go down and would give us help at any time. If you're considering the switch from lead acid or AGM batteries to something lithium, I would highly recommend Battle-Born batteries over the DIY solution of a Tesla battery. It sounds good on paper, it seems cheap up front, but once you factor everything in, it just doesn't seem worth it to me anymore. The only complaint I ever see online about Battle-Born batteries is the price. People will say you can get batteries for cheaper, golf cart batteries, you name it. But at the end of the day, you're not talking about the same product. Many of us have $1,000 smartphones that we can't stand when the battery dies. Yet many of those same people will complain about a $950 battery that powers their entire RV for the weekend. At the end of the day, you're going to pay to have a good quality product that's going to be there to keep your power on. Ask yourself if you buy the cheapest tires, phone, computer, car, RV, or even tow vehicle. You probably don't, and you know why. The same premise extends to batteries. You really do get what you pay for. Hopefully now you'll understand why we made the change to Battle-Born batteries. I'm interested in your feedback though. Let us know what you think about the two different battery systems in the comments below, or even let us know what you use in your RV.